Hello everyone and welcome to the public pre-alpha of Kitten Space Agency. So now you can play it too. I'll put the link in the video description so you can download it. And it is free, though they ask for donations, of course. It is a donation-funded game. And when you fire it up, once you've installed it, it will give you this selection. So it doesn't have the custom fictional system, star system that it will eventually come with. For now, it's only got the solar system, and I'll go with the full solar system, and it gives you these options. So then we load up. So there's the pre-alpha. I don't actually know what... alpha means that it's not feature complete. Beta means it's feature complete, but they're working out bugs and stuff like that. And then there's the release. I don't know exactly how to define pre-alpha, but we're in pre-alpha. So what that should mean to everyone is there's a lot of work left to be done. The game currently has you controlling a craft named Rocket. Press right bracket and left bracket to swap between several available craft. You can press C to switch between the camera modes, or hold right click to pan the camera around. So right click is panning as opposed to middle mouse button, which was what it was in Kerbal Space Program. Most UI elements can be repositioned, resized, and hidden by clicking and dragging. KSA uses fairly traditional craft controls, which can be viewed in the controls section of the settings menus by pressing escape. Press M to toggle between a craft view and map view. The map view can be useful for planning burns for encounters and exploring the solar system, but controls slightly change while in this mode. You can also use this to prepare burns by left-clicking on a point in the orbit, or on the orbit. In the menu bar, you can use Universe, arrow go to. First click universe, then click go to, and you can instantly move to other celestial objects, as well as using view orbit lines to enable or disable orbit lines for the many available celestials. Many other in-progress features can be accessed by exploring the menu bar. Time compression can be increased using period or decreased using comma, so that's the same as Kerbal. Ground tracking can be toggled with F3 and transfer planning with F4. So the reason I reference Kerbal is because, of course, this is meant to be the spiritual successor of Kerbal Space Program. So this is version 2025.11.4.2091 for reference, and there was a fix of a button. And previously, it had focused on the Apollo spacecraft. There had always been the Apollo spacecraft as well as the Gemini spacecraft in orbit around Earth, and you could pick between the two during the closed pre-alpha when only certain people got to mess around with it. But now it's focused on the Gemini first instead of on the Apollo first. Previously, it was focused on the Apollo first, so we'll use Gemini. Well, it's a Gemini-ish. Interestingly, they've got what looks to be an LR91 on this stage, whereas the most logical stage for Gemini beneath it would actually be Transstage, not an LR91 here. Transstage would have two nozzles, and they'd be an AJ10 variant, normally speaking. So this is an odd configuration for Gemini. It's also odd that it would have exposed spherical tanks at the top like that, so maybe we shouldn't call this Gemini at all. But we can see here that there are vessels Gemini 7, Gemini 6A, so that's for a Gemini-ish rendezvous. But this is Rocket, actually. So if we go to Gemini 7, this looks the same. It doesn't actually look like a Gemini spacecraft. In other words, it has this stage on it that the Gemini spacecraft would not have. Pressing spacebar doesn't do anything. Gemini 6 is like this. Now this is the Gemini spacecraft. Okay, so this is like this. I don't know why Gemini 7 looks so different. It looks actually more like Mercury in a way, the capsule itself. I don't know why Gemini 7 is like this, and then Gemini 6A looks like a fully proper Gemini with a proper service module, the wires hanging out, and then the full nose, though apparently not opened up. Anyway, so effectively you've got no Apollo spacecraft anymore. That's sad. We've got Hunter, which is a Kerbal, no, a Kitten. Hunter's a Kitten, not a Kerbal. And actually our craft are really close to each other, aren't they? So let's try the little bracket keys. So there's this one, this one, this one, Hunter. Well, now I missed the Apollo. I don't know how to figure this out. I mean, okay, so we've got this one, and there's that one. It's not like we can dock with them. This has very little propellant indeed, and no apparent delta V. So this is just static. We can't actually use this. This does have the same delta V that I had with the Apollo spacecraft in my previous videos. This has slightly more than this one. This has more propellant, but less delta V, so this is a heavier one. Hold on a sec. Yeah, so this has 12 tons of propellant, thrust weight ratio of 21.1 it says right now, and it has 1.5 million meters per second. This has not quite 1.4 million meters per second, it has much more propellant, 18 tons, and less thrust to weight ratio. Interesting, because this one and this one otherwise look identical. Now this is an awkward... One reason why I sort of like the Apollo spacecraft is this is a little bit awkward to try and land with. Got Taipei there. Oh, maybe we should have Hunter actually deorbit. Hold on, let me see. Hunter? Hunter... Wait, what happened to Hunter? I wanted to go to Hunter. Okay, Hunter doesn't have a delta V reading. Hunter is also hard to see right now. Okay, so just really shrouded in darkness there. A lot of hair. They did extra work on the hair. Alright, so actually we want to point behind, so it's retrograde. Well, Z doesn't work. So I have to hold H to deorbit. It doesn't seem like much thrust weight ratio. I don't think Hunter can fly through the atmosphere. And actually, the other craft might have trouble with that as well. Because the Apollo spacecraft had like 100 thrust weight ratio, 100 Gs, and could easily use thrust for a long time to stay airborne, basically. So as I demonstrated in an earlier video and as has been acknowledged, this is just the Sol system and it's not meant to allow for you to go out too far. So once you get past the system itself, there will be math errors. So it turns out you have to stick around here. You can't, I mean, there's nothing else out there anyway, so to some extent it's like, what's the point? But of course I was curious, so that's how it is. And right now we have an impact point there. That is not where I want to impact. Okay, I want to thrust forward here to avoid impacting. Let me go faster. Maybe like, no, that's actually, the nav ball isn't oriented the way I want it to be. Point a little bit up is what I want. I'm not really extending the impact point. We're gonna end in the Indian Ocean and I can't stop it. Hunter doesn't have enough thrust to weight ratio for this particular maneuver. Well, Hunter is going to keep trying to point directly upward to avoid smacking to the ground. We'll see if that works out. I tried going prograde already to try and maintain my speed. That certainly didn't work. Hunter does not have any limit to the delta V, as far as I can tell. Hunter has a lot of drag. We're going very slow at this height. The camera choice is a little bit weird. Maybe surface is better. The stars reflected in Hunter's visor. Oh, I could have just gone surface up. That would be fine. But yeah, severe drag from Hunter. That probably means that even if the re-entry heat was modeled, the Kitten, I was about to say Kerbal again, the Kitten might still survive, because if the drag is enough, the heat just won't have enough intensity at the height that we're already getting slow. Also, as we take a look at the speed going down, it's possible that Hunter could make a soft landing, but it's unfortunate that it's in the dark. I'm curious right now whether Hunter's gonna start going up. I'm pointing directly upward here. I'm assuming that there's just not enough thrust weight ratio for that, but... well, I'm gonna time warp a bit. You can use your throttle during time warp, even very high time warp. It looks like this is the minimum. We don't have a thrust weight ratio of 1, so the best that the little jetpack jets can do is get us to 33 meters per second. And it'll be a little bit higher at the ground, a little bit lower at the ground, so maybe 30. But then when I release, of course, our descent rate goes up, but not by much. It looks like the Kitten has such drag that the terminal velocity is 34 meters per second anyway. So it really doesn't matter whether we use the little jets or not. It's just the Kitten head that's really big and therefore gets us a lot of drag. Well, should we find out what happens when the Kitten encounters the ground? Unfortunately, it's in the dark, but maybe it's better that way. We don't want it to be too gruesome. Okay, well, 100 cm. Well, I'm gathering that the Kitten can't walk around yet. Forward. The Kitten cannot, in fact, reorient right now. The Kitten is just... the Kitten is stuck looking up at the stars. I guess that's poetic. Okay, let's pick a different craft then. Back to Rocket with its Delta V. Well, actually, let's go for maximum Delta V, which the Gemini 7 had. Hunter is there. We should rescue Hunter. No, okay. I'm gonna try and make sure that this comes down in daylight. Now, one thing we don't have, I think, is any way to map my joystick. So it's all keyboard right now. The earliest version of Kerbal Space Program I played did have joystick support. So... hopefully they figured it out at some point. But that's a lot easier to implement with Unity, which basically has that sort of thing built in, than it is when you're making your own custom engine. Okay, well, that should bring us down pretty well. Okay, so it's dawn. Oh, we're already pretty low. Can we fly? Well, okay, well, I just want to maintain speed, actually. Let's not overdo things. I don't need to go that fast. It says surface, but this is really not the surface that I'm looking for. So about Mach 3. And we are currently over Saudi Arabia. No, it's not. That's Ethiopia. So we're currently over Ethiopia. And let me try and go faster and see how far... What's our range in the atmosphere? I don't want to take... Maybe I shouldn't go too fast, though. I don't... because we're fighting against drag like that. Okay, so I'm gonna try not to go beyond 40 kilometers in altitude. And we're doing a lot of work to try to keep going here. Okay, well that's 40 kilometers right there. I have to switch to surface and then adjust my... I don't think there is a flight version, like I can hold an altitude like a normal autopilot. This isn't meant for planes yet. Pre-alpha. I want to try and circle the globe, but that's only gonna be possible if I can control it properly. I'm just gonna try and control it manually. So, this part of Africa, I really need finer controls right now. I don't suppose caps lock works. No, that doesn't seem so. About map 5 right now. Red Sea, but we're going too far south. (10x). Can I really... Ooh, okay, maybe it's a little bit hard in 10x to do this. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, oh no, go forward. Okay, 4x is about as fast as I can go while manually controlling it. With a joystick I can control it much better. If I had trim I could control it even better at maybe 10x or higher, but I could try null rotation, but then it changes the nav ball, and so I get irritated by that because then I can't see what I need to see. Interesting that there's this... I mean, normally I think of the coast of Arabia as pretty smooth, but then they have all these little islands here. Okay, I'll try null rotation there. Let's see if that works out for me. I wonder if with the RCS there's any way I could keep my altitude. I'm gonna guess no, because I'm just thrusting down there and it's not helping at all. I'm just going to have to reorient eventually. Okay, let's try null there. And time warp more. How are we? We're still heading south. Well, fine. Let me just try and get over to India first and then worry about it. 120. Uh-oh. Oh no, I crashed. I can't even see whether my heading is actually correct or not. Because this heading doesn't... I mean, this is apparently still with reference to my velocity instead of with reference to the ground. That impact right there is presumably the remains... Well, not remains... Well, sort of the remains of Hunter. So Hunter is right there. In Somalia, I think. Yeah, 358. Yeah, but I want to know with reference to the actual ground heading, which apparently nothing tells me. So anyway, I think I'll have to ponder this a little bit more and how to control it. But there's your challenge. The challenge is to have this travel around the world under 40 kilometers altitude. And I have not been able to do that, and we will see if anybody can. But it's gonna take some fine controls and patience, let's face it. I'm gonna leave it there. I've spent some time here. I mean, I've played around with Kitten Space Agency before, done a few things, and I'll give other people a chance to have some hijinks before I continue. So that is just an intro. It is now publicly available, and you can give it a go. Given that we have a limited feature set right now, we can't really build our rockets, we only have this selection. So we will see. But it looks like the thrust weight ratio of this is sufficient for flying through the atmosphere of Earth. So that's okay. We still have that. So with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time.